When we talk about moving forward, a question that came back to many of you, but to me as well, about competence. Like we have, as 𝗬𝗂𝗏 was pointing out as well, many competencies. Like we plan in a way that feels odd now when I look at the private sector here as well. And you also mentioned it, like we know how to plan. We do that rather well because we were obliged under pressure to do that. But there is that fear, I will name it because it's something that comes back a lot with people who are thinking even of transiting. Like, do people understand what even I was doing? What are your hints and tips for that, or how did you deal with this?
It's funny what you said, because it's when I decided, because again, like 7 months ago, and you know, I'm an architect by trade. I have a PhD in a specific direction. So, but everyone said, "Ah, but it's easy for you." Those that were not aware about, you know, what we used to do. No, that's so easy. You're an architect. You can jump in the private sector. Not really. After 28 years, just, I mean, come on. You know, I don't even like handle AutoCAD every day. I do know how to use it, obviously, but it would take time. So, and maybe it's not exactly what I want to do. I want to stay in the sector, I mean, in another form. And it's funny how the perspective of people outside, they think, okay, but you have a degree, you can use that. So, and it's scary, but at the same time, like Eva or 𝗬𝗏, I don't remember who said that, and you mentioned, it's funny that when you work, and I had a chance now to, with the employer right now, and my work situation at the moment, you know, we are so adaptable, and I'm so grateful for the decades of work, because we are so adaptable, and I bet I could go back and be an architect. It would take maybe a while, but we developed such a, I don't like to say generalist, because I actually, throughout my career, I've been technical, entirely technical. So sometimes a manager, sometimes not, but always related to the sector. So not just anything. And but that created my side of my flexibility, my professionalism that is adaptable in each context. And I'm very grateful for that. So maybe in that sense, yeah, we do know how to build, how to design a matrix, a plan, a work plan, and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, going back to architecture school, and I started by teaching actually humanitarian shelter and settlement. So it was kind of like, yeah, I feel very secure in this area. And now I'm teaching studio class, which I haven't done studio for so many years. And it's both the realization that a lot of the things that I keep them, as Chiara was saying, like they are there. And I bring to the table things that no other professor is bringing. So we have, for example, the whole studio focus on resilience building. Hey, this is what I've been doing like for the past 15 years. So you realize that there's so much that connects with what is happening outside of the humanitarian world that you can definitely bring your experience and connect it. The students are thirsty to hear and try to see, like, there's a lot of interest to see how did you do this, or there's a lot of conversations also that are happening around leadership, which I think it's very interesting, because it's not just the technical piece, it's our ability to relate to people, our ability to be able to have conversations and to bring the best of others as these conversations are happening. And for me, it's like, it doesn't feel like a rupture, it feels like the next step in a transition that started, I don't know how many years ago, and it's coming to a full circle with what I am doing too.
And 𝗬𝗏, if I can just go further a bit on something you mentioned in our conversations about the network.
Oh yeah, so I worked for 10 years or 11 years in the humanitarian sector. And then I went back to the Netherlands. I'm Dutch, and I started an MBA, executive MBA. So that's part-time, allowing you to still work. So I did consultancy assignments still for UN agencies. Meanwhile, I was home, but it wasn't completely new home for me, in a sense that a lot of my friends were living all over the place, everywhere and nowhere in the world, to do with people that I knew from missions, from my studies. Everyone was following their career path, but not returning home. So I still had my friends back from when I grew up, but they were having a very different type of life. So I didn't feel quite connected with them either. And this executive MBA, I saw the students, 70 in total my year, and we saw each other every 2 weeks. We had dinner together, we had lunch, we had breakfast together, like for a whole weekend. You do assignments together, so you really get to know each other. It's like as if you're in a mini mission, very short mission with a specific topic. And that was really good for me. So allowed me to reconnect within the Netherlands with a new sort of network, a new sort of group of people, all having 10 years of working experience in different fields, different areas of expertise. But I could relate because, of course, we also had finance issues. So I know something about budgeting and forecasting and so on. For someone working on marketing, of course, we were also working on branding and stuff like that. So like, I didn't feel like quite an alien in there. It was just a different type of approach, a different type of risks, a different type of pace that we worked. But it was good to understand that there were a lot of similarities as well, and a really nice focus of everyone, very professional. This was very exciting, actually, to think of, okay, there is another world next to the humanitarian world, and also to realize, like, what we were talking about as well. It's like I had to explain and explain and explain and explain over and over again. What are we doing? How are we doing it? How can we continue our missions? How do we get funding? How do we, from A to Z, I got questions on what does it mean? So there is clearly a huge gap in understanding what we're actually doing. And sometimes it's reflected in media and outlets, or when something spikes, okay, something is happening there, okay, people are helping. But there was no real understanding in what we are doing on a daily basis, what it takes. Usually we do a lot more than we're signing up for. I mean, we have a terms of reference, but usually it changes every day. So that was also sort of, I got a lot of questions about our flexibility and how it was possible that we were so adaptable and so flexible with all the changes happening around us and all the uncertainties. So it was nice for me to in this way, on a professional level, to connect with others and to build a new network. Not losing sight of the other old network, it's still there. But this is an added value, and that takes time as well. So for me, from starting the thought of let's do something different, let's change, to where I stand now, I think it's 2 years have passed. So this is also something that I wanted to let everyone know. If you're thinking of a change, take your own time. It's a process.